Hello, everybody. What's going on? Let me check my audio. I want to make sure everything. Hey. What's going on, everybody? I want to check my audio just to make sure everything is good. If you can hear me, let me know. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me because we're about to get into frameworks and graphics and all the cool things. So let me listen to myself real quick and make sure my microphone is hooked up properly. All right. So let me listen to this. Because we're about to. Okay, that's good. So I just wanted to make sure my audio was good and all the things. Okay. All righty. So welcome to today's live stream, y'all. I don't know if you all been connected, been paying attention or connected online, but I did recently share that my husband sister passed away, and so I'm still trying to get back to the right headspace. You know, going to funerals is a lot. So I feel like I'm just now starting to come up for a little bit of air, but I did debate on whether or not I was going to cancel this week's live stream. And I just said, you know what? You know, life still goes on. I still have to stay committed to my goals. That doesn't mean that I couldn't have canceled, right? It just means that I chose to push through instead of using that as an excuse, right? Even though it's a valid excuse, I didn't want to use it as an excuse. Okay. So anywho, let me know if everything is good on you all's end. And then we're going to get into it. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was frameworks, because I feel like when I'm telling people like, hey, you know, what's your process? Because I don't think people realize how much their framework play a role in what they sell, right? I think a lot of the times when people are, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to get this window to be a little bit smaller. It's so freaking big. I'm like, I can't even see. Okay, cool. So I'll put that over there. All right. So I'm going to show you some of the frameworks that we have that we've been using for quite some time. And then we're going to get into how I find these frameworks and all the things. But one of the easiest ways to come up with a really solid product suite is to make sure you actually know what you're doing and then being able to create a framework around it. So let me show you one of the first frameworks I ever created. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I'm going to show you all a few of these. Okay, so this is one of my frameworks. It's called the 7 Phases Framework. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up. Give me 1 second. Let me go to my windows and then libraries. And I feel like I had another way I had this graphic, because it's one with 7 phases on it. Let's see. Give me 1 second. These are a lot of the graphics that we use. I don't want to bore y'all looking for it, but I have another one of these frameworks that has the name on it. And I'm not saying it here. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to say was, like, when you have a framework, it makes it easier to get your client a result, because one, let me tell you another reason for frameworks. One, it gives you clarity as the person that's teaching and educating your clients. And two, it gives your client a path. Okay, like, where are we? It gives your client a path and a map. And so when your clients know exactly, like, where you all are, where you're heading, all the things, it makes it a lot easier for them to say, oh yeah, I really need this particular framework. The other thing that the framework does that a lot of people misunderstand is that it creates trust, right? It's like, oh, you've been there, done that. Like, I absolutely need this framework. And so when you have a framework, it makes it easier to sell your products, services, and programs. It makes it very easier for people to know where they are in the journey and or the process. It builds trust, authority, and credibility. And most importantly, it keeps you on track. How many of you all are like one of those people that just over deliver? Like, it's just, you don't know no other way but to just over deliver, right? Like, I'm raising my hand as I say this. I think you have to understand that if you are a person that loves to over deliver and your team too much, you give more than what people pay for sometimes, frameworks actually ensure that you're not all over the place and that you're staying within scope of the work, right? Like, that's the beauty of this, is that once you have the framework, it becomes a lot easier to support your clients in that process, but also making sure that you don't give more than you're supposed to. That's another reason I love frameworks, because it's like, this is all I'm teaching. So if the goal is X, then you going through this framework, when we're done, right? Like, there's nothing else to talk about. So I'm going to show you some of the frameworks I've created over the years. And then I'm going to show you the website that I use, how I find frameworks, and then how I edit them. Now, you do need an advanced tool. So I'm using Adobe Illustrator right now. Unfortunately, this is not going to work with Canva. I know a lot of people love Canva, but if you do not have like the Adobe suite, you can, hire someone on Fiverr or hire someone on Upwork to be able to edit this, edit these graphics for you that I'm about to show you. So I got you. We're about to get into it. Also, if you're enjoying today's content, make sure you like the video. Y'all know what's up. So make sure you like the video. Also, share this live stream out if you have business owners that need frameworks, need processes and systems for how they get things done. All right. So help us spread the word by sharing this video, right? Don't be selfish. All right. So let's get into it. So the very first framework I have here is the 7 phases framework. And so this comes out of my book, Are You Ready for the Yes? And so if you all have not read Are You Ready for the Yes, then you may not be familiar with this framework. However, if you have read Are You Ready for the Yes, then you are familiar with this framework. We talk a lot about your personal brand is built on your story. It's built around your personality, your experience, and your expertise. Okay. And in addition to that, you have your personal brand aspect. And so the book is essentially this framework, right? So when you're going through when you're reading Are You Ready for the Yes, which is my first book, you will notice that each chapter is broken down by this framework. So it's like the book opens up about, who you are, why you should build a brand, the importance of building a brand, getting you to a place of like owning your expertise. And then we dive right into building your personal brand, and we use this framework. So we start with your personal brand, speaking, publishing, media, products and services, events, and partnerships, right? So we still to this day still teach a similar aspect to this framework, but this should give you a general idea of how you could go about thinking about it, right? So I'm not going to break down all of my frameworks. I'm just showing you what I have gotten over the years. Also, if you have any questions, now is a great time to go ahead and start putting your questions in the comments. That way we have here, and this is not necessarily a framework. This is more so our company Flywheel, right? So our company Flywheel, we have it set up where like, hey, you know, people, we attract people to become a part of our community, become an UnCloned insider. We invite them to join our UnCloned experiences. We then enroll them into our programs. And then we create UnCloned results and case studies, helping clients get results. And then we showcase those results. And ultimately, as people, you know, ascend throughout the process, we are essentially getting more and more clients, right? So that's the beauty in this. Again, if you all are enjoying the video, make sure you like the video because I can see the likes on my side. All right. So that's one framework. All right, the next framework we have here is if you are in the launch circle, and this is the other thing too. Let me go back. So this is like, if somebody was to come to me today and say, hey, help me build my personal brand, I'm going to pull out, are you ready for the yes? And we're going to work through this framework. If someone in my organization that works for our company and they're like, hey, boss, like what we're working on, like how do we get clients a result? Like what is our process for how we work with clients? I'm going to show them our flywheel, right? This is an internal graphic. And then here you will see this framework is based on our membership platform inside the UnCloned Launch Circle. So if you are a member inside the UnCloned Launch Circle, if you like, hey, what's the process for launching? Then you would use the UnCloned Launch Flow framework. Is this making sense, everybody? Just put yes in the chat. If you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting it. It's starting to like really click and make sense for me, right? And so if somebody was to come to me tomorrow and be like, hey, Audria, I'm ready to launch, the first thing I'm going to do is see what their experience is with launching. If they've never launched, then first their pre-work is they need to learn the process. Then we need to get clear on what are they selling during that launch, and then so on and so forth, right? So that's the UnCloned Launch Flow framework. The next framework is, and this is not necessarily a framework, this particular graphic here is like our client journey. So like, where are people in the process? So like when people first come into our community, they are considered like an UnCloned insider, right? Like they've took the UnCloned Brand assessment. They know they UnCloned Brand score. They read the UnCloned book bundle. They come to, you know, our weekly YouTube videos. They're active and activated inside the UnCloned community. So that's what this first level is. Then once you get acclimated and inside of the community, you're most likely going to participate in some type of UnCloned experience. And so just to kind of keep this simple for everyone, our UnCloned experiences are free or paid, online or offline. And so for an example, we have UnCloned Marketing Pro Live coming up at the end of February, right? And so that's considered an UnCloned experience. But then in March, we have the Launch Style Masterclass. Again, that's an UnCloned experience. Now, when we start hosting in-person meetups and workshops and things like that, that's still considered an UnCloned experience. And so as people navigate through this framework, people can see where they are in the process. And it makes it easier for us to train our team on where people are in the process. Okay. All right. The next thing is this framework. This is our most recent framework. Is fairly new. We've been teaching this in a lot of different ways, but we're condensing it into one framework. So this is our most recent framework, the UnCloned Brand framework. And one thing you would notice is like all the phases of each part of the framework. So let me see what else. Do I have some other ones I want to show you? So I showed you that one. I showed you that one. I showed you that one. I think there's a few more. This is our Yes Experience framework. And so you can also create frameworks for your workshops. as well. So we used to do a workshop called the Yes Experience. And this is the framework that we would take people through to create like their yes board in their project plans for what they say they want. What else? I think that's it far as graphics are concerned. So now let's get into where to find these types of graphics and like how you go about editing it. Okay. So let me pull up my screen real quick and let me switch where I'm showing you all this at. Let's see. Okay, so this is the site that I typically use when I'm looking for like vector graphics, but it's a certain type of keywords. It's called freepik.com. FREEPIK.com. That's the name of the website. And so when you come to this particular website, one of the things you will notice is that you got to type in what you say you want, right? So based on your framework, you might have 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. I don't recommend more than 7 or 6. You know, once you get past that, it's like too much. But let's just say for the sake of today, let's say I had a 4-step framework. So I would type in 4 steps, and typically it will begin to find graphics that have 4 steps in it. So you can also type in 4 steps infographic. That helps as well. If you have a certain shape you want, you could do that as well. So you might say, hey, 4 steps circle, for an example. If you want a framework that's a circle and you're able to kind of look and find one, right? Or you may decide like, oh, well, I want a 4-step square as an example. Okay. And so you can see here, they have some squares and some circles. And so you might decide, oh, well, that's cool too, but can I get 4 steps, just infographic and just see what comes up if you want to open up all of the different options. So let's kind of go through these and then I'm gonna show you how I download it and then edit it. Okay. So let's say for instance, let's say I like, let's see what framework I want to change or edit. And you could just keep looking. I recommend you upgrade to the pro version of this site. That way, you have the rights to use these graphics in the way that I'm instructing you. All right. Like you can't really use it the way you want to with a free account. So pay whatever the fee is and get access to that. So I'm trying to see which one I like. I think I saw one on the first page that I like. Let's see. Let's see. I'm still looking to see which one I like. I'm real picky about stuff like this. I'm probably spending more time on it than I want to. But for the sake of time, let me just go ahead and pick one. Let's see. I always like to pick one that got really good text. And sometimes if I don't like the infographics, that's a part of it. I will edit it, right? Or I might break it apart. So this one is probably a good example of what I'm saying. So let me download this real quick and show you, right? Like how I would edit this. Because sometimes I'll see a vector and then I'll just edit it. Be like, oh, okay, let me edit this a certain kind of way. So let me pull up that graphic real quick. And then I'm going to pull it up. Give me 1 second. All right, so let me share my screen. Let me come over here and share my screen. Let me come back over here to Illustrator. Okay. All right, can y'all see this? Let me know in the chat. Y'all got to talk to me. Y'all be on here and never be talking. I'll be like, hey, can you hear me? What's going on? So I just want to make sure. Let's see. Okay. So once you have it up, you will. So what I like to do is, and I'm in Illustrator. Again, if you don't know how to use Illustrator, a lot of what I'm doing right now may be foreign. Okay. So the first thing I like to do is right click and then hit, depending on if it's grouped or not. It doesn't, I think it's some of these things are grouped, but some of it's not. Sometimes I won't use this. So I'll delete that. And then I might say, okay, do I like this? Do I like the setup? I'm probably not going to keep these like tea leaves that's on the side, or I may decide to change that element, right? So again, I'm being extra right now, and it looks like it's combined, so I can't really change it the way I want to. Let me go back. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to change those other little circles, but I can change the color, right? So I might say, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Do I want to keep that? Maybe, depending on if I want to use my particular font or not. Or I can decide to put something else there instead of that, right? Another thing I might do, just to kind of edit it, I might add an element to it to kind of make it mine, right? So if I wanted to, I could put this graphic in the middle, and now it's adding like this, a nice little touch to it, right? So then I could come in here and find my colors, and then I could begin to edit this. So give me 1 second. I'm pulling up my libraries real quick. Okay, so let me pull this up. Okay, so let me just pick some graphics here. So I might say, okay, I want this to be my pink color. I want this to be my purple color. I want this to be my orange color. And I want this to be my teal color. And for some reason, this is not coming over as my color. That lets me know I might be in a different color mode. So let me change this from CMYK to RGB. And let me go back and change this again. Okay, so we got our purple back. We got our pink back. And I might want to go with a brighter shade here, and go back and change orange, based on that. And then I could change that here, right? So you see how that brightened it up. Then I could begin to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, hold on 1 second. So I could be like, all right, I want to make this a little bit bigger, right? And then I could group this and align it. Again, I already told you how you can pay someone to edit this for you. All right. So let me center this to the artboard. Boom. Okay. So now I can come in and say, okay, I need my, I might say I want my logo, for an example, right? So I might say, all right, let me get my logo here. And I think it's grouped. So let me ungroup all of this and just go with this. Hit group. And then I'm going to come back to that graphic that we just looked at. Here we go. All right. And then I could come in here and paste this and just make it a little bit smaller, and then put whatever the title is underneath it, right? And then just like that, I'm making it my own. So again, you got to have your assets. You got to have your branding colors. You got to know, you got to have these things, y'all, right? We talked about this at UnCloned Brand Live. If you don't have your ticket, now's the time to get your ticket to that. That's happening in July. But if you don't have your branding style guide, your elements and all that stuff, and you want to know how to, what to be looking for and all of that, you definitely want to join us for UnCloned Brand Live in July. So I could put this in here, and then I can come up with a title, right? So that's that is something, that I have here. Okay. So anywho, that's how you would edit it and make it your own. Again, if I decide that I want to move some stuff around, or if I want to get rid of these shadows, I can. You have a lot of different ways you could go about doing this, but hopefully this gave you all some insight about how you can approach, creating some really cool frameworks for your business. All right. And so let me go over here and just remember, you want to get you a pro account. That way you can have the rights to use the graphics. Okay. So if you come over to pricing, you're able to see like, okay, as a premium, I have commercial license, right? To be able to use it, unlimited downloads. I can have access to the premium content. And so you definitely want to make sure that you are picking the right plan if you do decide to use this website. So anywho, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. Just real quick before we jet out, I do want to let you know that we have the UnCloned Marketing Pro live coming up on February 22nd, 2025. So if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you head over to uncloned.shop and go from there. Let's see, quick question. Would you say this is more beneficial? Would you say this is more beneficial than Canva Premium? It's not the same. So for instance, to me, these are like two different things. What I'm talking about today is about frameworks, how to find those frameworks, how to edit those frameworks. That's pretty much what I was referencing today. It's not necessarily about Canva Pro or Canva Free or any of that. It's about, can you bring vectors and all of that into Canva? Yes, but it depends on the file type and all of that. So that's why I was telling you about Illustrator and you paying someone to edit it. You can bring in some vector elements, but it totally depends. And it also depends on the complexity of the graphic itself. Let's see. The next question we have here is, will there be a difference in UnCloned Brand live from July to January? Not content wise, like content enhancement, but some of the same principles. So, and this is what I will also say, even if you came to UnCloned Brand live in January, you should still come to the one in July, because it's about mastery. That's what learning a lot of what I'm teaching is about, mastery. You know, I'm getting away from constantly teaching the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? Like, and there's no need for me to create new stuff, right? Like, we need to master the frameworks. Have you done the frameworks that we teach? Have you done, it takes years to build an UnCloned brand. And so hopefully every time you come to UnCloned Brand live, you're seeing improvements and you see an engagement increase too with your brand as you continue to develop your brand. So hopefully that gives you context. All right. So it looks like you all don't have any more questions. So thank you all so much for tuning in to this live stream. And until next time, y'all, let's go live an uncloned life and build an uncloned brand. Bye, y'all.